I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago.
Hey y'all, and welcome to my channel. It's a chilly day here in North Carolina. I'm out here in the bus just for a few minutes to just say hey to you and welcome you to the next chapter of Adventure of the Bus. Things are warming up around here. Yeah, well, look at that. Look at all that insulation in the ceiling. I can tell you this right now. It's probably nice and cozy in here compared to outside. Of course, I'm cheating a little bit because I have a heater on in here. Had a little bit of an adventure. You get kind of sneak peek a little bit of what you're going to get to see next week. I'm doing some stuff with the doors, and that's what's back there in the corner in secret. Yeah, there's a sneak peek of what I'm working on this week, and you'll get to see that next week, which is my doors. I'm doing some special things with the doors. Also, you can see a little bit of the walls that you're going to get to see next week. So those are projects I'm working on next week. But right now, I have finished the ceiling for 90% done. All I have to do is put in one more ceiling fan frame right here, and then the ceiling, except for the very front part, is done. And so this is what we're doing this week. We got all the ceiling insulated. So enjoy the chapter. There's lots of good stuff going on in it. And we'll see y'all later. Okay, so part of what I'm doing today is working on the walls and the ceiling. I already put some of the wallboard up, but I have been thinking about this a lot, and I thought it would be much better if I do go ahead and frame out underneath the wallboard. So I'm going to take the wallboard that's up right now and take it down, and then restart the whole process, because that's always fun. Just thought I'd tell you all about that. This is the wallboard here that I'm going to take down, and then I'm going to put some 1x2s up and hopefully frame out this section in here, and then be able to put that wallboard back up. On the back, I'm going to put some frame out on the back on there, and then I'm going to put some wallboard up there because I do not like the way that back looks. I might even do some, see if I can get some reclaimed wood, or scrap wood or something like that I can put up there. It's got to be pine or something else that's pretty light because I'm trying my best to keep the weight down on Adventure. So that's what I'm looking at today as part of my thing, and I also want to put some of the ceiling. I think the first thing I'm going to do is get this insulation up because I want to get that up and out of the way. Okay, so what you see here is me taking down the wallboards that I had put up. I decided it would be best if I went ahead and framed those out instead of having them flat up against the wall. That's better for when I do wiring and such. So I'll have a place to conceal the wires. Now I'm starting to work with the ceiling part. I have, what I used here was, I found these panels that were pre-cut styrofoam. They were made for door, like garage door installation, and so I got those to use, and they were perfect fit if I used 2 of them. So that gave me about 1.5 inches of insulation on each panel. So 90% of the roof has 1.5 inches of insulation on the roof. And then what I used behind that, when I first started out, I was using a razor knife, and that was great. But with the styrofoam, it is a lot of little beads of styrofoam get everywhere, and it's kind of messy. But I did move along quite fast when I was using these. And I used some spray adhesive, which I will put in the comments. And also I'll put the type of foam insulation I used as well, and then tape as well, because I do not want you to get into what happened later on in this build, and I'll warn you about that when I get to that part of the video. But this is me actually starting the whole process. What I did is I'd spray foam on the sides of the styrofoam. Now there's some of the spray adhesive that if you spray it on the styrofoam, it melts the styrofoam, so you got to kind of test it out first and find out. But I found out this worked pretty good with styrofoam, so I stuck with this particular product. What I would do is I'd go through and size up which ones fit in the right spots, and then I would spray adhesive on them,
and then I would put them up in the section and get, you have to wait a few minutes for the adhesive to get tacky, and then you put them up. And you can see I have a couple sections up there without tape on it, and then I go in after I get them up and sized into space. I would put some tape on each one of the sections, and that can be a lot because you have to take the paper off the back, and it's a long process to get it done, but to me it was worth it. And you'll see the end product, which turns out to be really, really awesome and great. And so I just trucked along and kept doing this. It was a pretty easy process. It just was a lot of oh no, I'm going to go into this right now, as this is what I'm doing here. I got to the section where I was going to hang one of the 2 fans that I want to hang in the bus, and I did not have a fan at this point, so what I did is I got a piece of plywood, I sized it to 14 by 14, and then I cut out my pieces for the thing, and then I put that around the piece of plywood and used that as my template to build these little boxes for the fans, to frame out for the fans. And then I took some 2x2s and attached them on each side to attach them to the ceiling. So you're seeing me go through the build process. I actually ripped out some boards there, and I hope I don't have some repeated footage again, but this is me ripping out the boards. I had some 2x3s that I ripped down to 2x2s so that I could use them for this particular project. And that's me cutting out the pieces and then assembling them. And so I used my Craig jig, and I really, really liked this. These came out really good and strong, and it was a good process to go through. And you can see I have my little template there that fit. I assembled both the sections that I have. I have 2 fans that I'm going to be putting in, and I assembled both of those in this little particular process. And then after I got them assembled, I got another couple 2x2s and cut them to size so that I could mount them on the ceiling. I did not do both the fan housings. I only did one of them, but and I was using my square there to make sure that the corners would remain as square as possible. On a bus, not a lot of things are square because there's not a lot of square parts, but we do our best to keep it in a square manner. And this is where I'm going to actually kind of start sizing in the fan parts to go up into the ceiling itself. I actually got a new toy there too. I ordered on Amazon a styrofoam cutting knife, and that's why I'm wearing the mask now, because the fumes from that can be a little toxic. And there I'm sizing out the pieces and trying to figure out what I was going to do as far as how I was going to mount this particular fan housing, the frame out for that. And it went pretty smoothly. I was really happy with the process, and I was very simple process. So you can see I put a 2x2 on each side, and what I was doing there was tracing out where the edges of the frames were going to go so that I could continue with the process of putting the styrofoam up. And you will see me later actually mounting the fan up into the ceiling, but I got the styrofoam in place before I did that. So I'm going to finish up working on the styrofoam in the back part of the bus there, and of course I got to take the wires out of the way so that I can work on the edges. I did end up moving the wires down to that channel right there, where the top part of the channel over the windows, because that's going to be a better place to conceal the wires, and it won't interrupt with what I want to do on the ceiling later. I do have an idea of what I want to do on the ceiling, but I don't have it all worked out just yet. And what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to probably put a piece of plywood up. I want to go with like slat boards, but I want to have a dark background. So I'm more likely gonna put some birch plywood up there first, and then I'll put some slats of wood up there, but I'm gonna have some space in between so that I'm gonna kind of have a double layer of wood up there. I'm gonna use birch plywood so it's not super thick and not heavy, so that'll be a nice smooth space to mount things on, and we'll see how it goes. And I'll probably paint that black. And then after I paint that black, I'm going to go through and put the slats up in natural wood color, and there'll be a little gap between each one of them that will reveal the black underneath, which gives it a nice clean look. That's what I'm really wanting to do. And there you can see I'm fitting in the styrofoam for the where I'm leaving space for the fan, because I had traced out where those things were going to go. And then just proceeding on. So that's kind of what I want to do with the ceiling. I think it's going to look beautiful and clean and nice. And there's other ways I could do it too. I've looked up on Amazon. There's some felt fabric I could get, and that would be even lighter than the plywood. So I'm kind of trying to go back and forth whether or not I'm going to use the felt or the plywood. The plywood's probably more economically feasible. The felt, I'm thinking about ordering it just to see how much I would get and how many square feet I could cover with it. But I think I'm going to get the best bang for my buck using the plywood. And then just continuing on with the process of putting the styrofoam up, which is not a super exciting process, but it's a necessary one. So there I'm actually using this styrofoam knife that I got. It was not the most expensive one that they had out there. Harbor Freight had a nice looking one that probably would do a really excellent job, but I decided to get this little inexpensive one at Amazon, so I was using that. Here I'm actually fitting the framework for and mounting it up to the ceiling. I had two little straight brackets that I ended up using to put it in, just to fit it in place. And then later on I got some straight metal and you'll see me cutting that in a few minutes. This was one day, and then I decided I had to come back and do it again later. And so I basically got the straight metal with the holes in it there, and I cut it with my grinder. And once I got that all done, I just pre-drilled some holes in, and then mounted those brackets up there on the wall. So it's a straight right into the metal mount. And this is some tape that I got that I was talking about. I was using the metal foil ducting tape that you use on ductwork, and that was working really good, and I should have stuck with what was working really good, because I bought up this other stuff thinking it was the same stuff at Lowe's or Home Depot. I don't know where I got it, but I picked it up at a different store. I had a hard time finding it. It was a store that I wasn't used to shopping at, so I wasn't finding what I normally found. I thought it was the same type of tape, but it was not. And it was nice because it was easier to apply and put on, because it was just a roll, and you just rolled it right off and put it on. But it was super thin, and when I got it up on the ceiling and I put all these panels in place, yeah, it was easier to tape it in place, but no, it was not easier in the end, because I left it overnight, and by the next morning all the tape had released, and it was a mess. And I don't know if I showed that to you later, but it was a mess, and I just had to go in and take all that tape down and put it back in place. So this is probably the hardest thing I have to do when I'm working over my head. I am a veteran of the military, and I am a disabled veteran because I did crack a vertebrae when I was active duty. And when I have to do a lot of work over my head, it does irritate my injury. The way I manage that is just to get a massage once a month. And there I'm actually still using the foil tape there in this section. But this is the good tape, and this is a tape I will definitely link in the comments. I'm not going to link that other tape because it is just not good tape. I'll tell you what it was, but I'm not going to. It was like a 3M repair tape for ducting work, but it was just too thin and too flimsy, and it just did not work well for this application. But as I was saying about my injury, when I have to do a lot of over my head work, it does tend to stress out my injury. So this took me several days to do because I cannot do that much continuous work over my head. So I have to take breaks and rest my back and give it time to recover. I know I did a lot of work yesterday changing out all that tape, and when I did that, last night I was, having to do some things to make my back relax and feel better. So here you can see I'm easily fitting out these pieces. I think at this point I was still using the little knife that I got from Amazon, and like I said, it was good. It worked well. It was nice because I didn't have to have all the styrofoam balls everywhere. But what I did find out that it was kind of slow going when I was working with that. So I ended up going back to my razor knife and using that because I just could move a lot faster, and it was easier for my back if I didn't have to go so slow and just get it done. And at the point that I was getting to this place, I was just ready to get this ceiling done. And I had done a lot of work over my head, and my back was just irritated, so I wanted to get finished with it. So I was on a mission, and I did get some up close work so you could see a little bit more of the process, and that's that bad tape. This is the bad tape. Do not use it. It's made by 3M. I'll let you know what it was so you don't buy it yourself. But this is not, I'll write in there, this is not the good stuff. So it was easier to install, but it was not lasting. It is pretty sticky, and it would work well for like some repair jobs, but it's not good for this application because gravity just pulls it down, and it just, like you can see, I can go fast with it, but it did not hold well with the ceiling. So I ended up going back to the original kind of tape I was using and retaped that entire place yesterday. And it was a lot of work, but I went ahead and did it anyway because it was worth the effort. And I ended up with a much better product at the end. I want to say about this whole process that a job worth doing is not worth doing unless you do it right. And so I'm trying my best to do this whole job exactly the way I should do it. And I'm not going to do it perfect the way all the van lifers do. I mean, everybody does it different. Everybody has a different opinion. There's the ones that are all for the wool insulation, there's all kinds of different insulation you can get. There's wool insulation, there's fiberglass insulation, there's foam board, there is spray foam. And I'm not a particular fan of spray foam because once you put it in, everything is just like stuck in the walls and you can't do anything about it. But it is the best insulation. I will say that. It is the best insulation you use for van life. In most people's opinion, it is the best. But I've found for myself, this is what works for me. And I'm not a person who likes it super, super warm in a place, and I don't mind the cold a little bit. I don't want it real cold, and I don't like it frigid, but I like it to be moderately warm. And so I found that this is what works best for me. I don't want to deal with the fiberglass and all that. Yes, if styrofoam burns, it's toxic fumes. There's something you deal with everything that you choose. The spray foam is very toxic until it dries, but then if it gets on fire, it's very toxic as well. There's levels of toxicity that you have to deal with in everything. The problem with the wool insulation and stuff like that is if it gets wet, it can cause mold and mildew. There's all kinds of advantages and disadvantages. You just have to decide what insulation works best for you. And in my application for this build, this is what has worked best for me. It's the best economical option. It's the best option as far as ease of installation and work. I'm one person working by myself, so to do all this work by myself, it's a lot. And so I just do my best to make it all fit and be smooth and look the best and be installed as efficiently as possible. So that is my soapbox for insulation. And there is something I'm going to research too, because I did watch Chuck Cassidy talk about insulation, and he said if you use anything other than spray foam insulation, you need to have a vapor barrier. So before I get putting the walls up too much, I want to go investigate whether it's important for me to do a vapor barrier here, because I don't want to. I'm wondering if this tape is serving enough of a purpose of a vapor barrier. If it's not, I'm probably going to put a vapor barrier up before I put the walls up. So I have to do a little bit of research on that and find out what is the best thing to use for a vapor barrier. So you can see me putting the finishing touches on this section here. I'm working on the last two sections of the ceiling, and it has gone pretty smoothly. I And then I jump forward to the last section, which is where the other fan is going to be mounted, so I don't have as much to put in this section. So it has been a good journey to do this ceiling and get it done. I will do that investigation about the vapor barrier, especially on the ceiling, because that's going to be the place where it's going to be most crucial. I do want to eventually put 1, ceiling fans in, and 2, I'd like to put some solar panels in, but I wanted to get at least the frame outs for the ceiling fans in place so that it would be easier once I want to install them. I have this kind of crazy situation on this bus. There's like this plastic, most buses have a metal roof, and mine has a metal roof on the sides, but on the middle, down the middle part of my bus, for about 3 feet down the middle, I have a like plastic roof, and it's not super strong, it's not super stable. I do have the metal structure of the roof, but then when you go up on top of the roof, you don't want to be walking on that plastic section, and it's going to be fun when I have to do the fans and install them. So I'm going to just do the best I can with what I've got, and we'll make it work. And I have 2 good sturdy frames up there to give the fans plenty of support, so I believe that it's going to be fine the way I have it put in, but I'm sure there's lessons that are going to be learned along the journey. That's the thing about having a journey like this, is, and a journey of transformation, it can look ugly from the start, but then you will also run into some snags along the way. There's little speed bumps, I guess you could say, that you hit on a journey, and you've got to, just overcome those speed bumps. One thing I've learned in life is that failure is inevitable. You're going to have failure on everything that you do, but to have that failure is an opportunity for you to learn how to do something different. That's what I see failure as. It's always an opportunity to learn how to do something different, and that has been a good example on this particular project, because I started out with the right tape, and then I switched to this other tape, and it didn't work out. But what I did is I said, okay, that is an opportunity for me to say, it wasn't right to do that. I'll just take that all down. Yes, I spent the money on it. Yes, it was a pain, but I want to do it right. And so I had an opportunity to shift and change and make it right. And see, you can see me putting that tape up, and it went up real easily, but it also did not work well. So I ended up changing it out in the long run. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing this journey of how, and hearing my little rant about insulation. And thank you for taking the time to stick through this journey the whole way. Hey y'all, I'm covered in styrofoam. I got styrofoam all over my face, all over my hat, all over my everything. But it's been a good day, good evening, and I've just finished up working on this ceiling in here. It's looking great. I've got it all the way through the whole bus. The ceiling is insulated, except for the very, very front, which I am not finished with, but it's looking great. And I worked on video all day today, so I didn't get as much done as I wanted to. I did work on the video all day today, and then came out here for a little while to finish this up, because I just really wanted to get it done, and it looks great, and I'm very happy with the product. Of course, I'm covered in styrofoam now because I've been messing with it, but it's been a good day. Tomorrow I'm spending the day with my family, and then Monday I'll probably get back to it. Hopefully I'll finish hanging that other fan housing right there. I got one hung right there. Whoop, there it is. There's one that's hung up, and I got another one built. The other one's built down there on the floor, and I'm going to hang it right up there in that spot, but I have to cut a couple 2x2s for that, and those are actually not ripped right now, so I'll have to get to that later. But for the most part, this is done for the evening, and I'm just going to close it up for the day. It's been a good day, and okay, so thank you for taking the time to watch this video all the way through. we have stories in our lives, and part of that story is, Forrest Gump talks about how you can tell a lot about a person by the kind of shoes they wear. Well, I'll throw up a picture of my shoes on here because my shoes have some stories behind them. And I have a lot of stories to tell, and our stories are really important in life. They're what bring hope to people, and they're also what encourage people, and they give people purpose. And I hope that by sharing my story with y'all, you get to see a little bit of my journey with Adventura. This has been a journey of transformation, and the beautiful thing right now is I'm getting to do the fun part. Now, before it was fun and interesting, but now I'm being able to add things to her and rebuild her and give her a new look and give her new meaning and new purpose. And that's what transformation is. It's a little rough in the beginning, and it's hard because you gotta take time, and you have to get rid of the real rough stuff in our lives. And in the life of this bus, she's had to get rid of a lot of crappy crap that was all over her. And now she's lost weight, she's got rid of rust, and she's looking great now. And she's starting to take shape, and I can kind of see the hints of what's to come with her. And I'm super excited about next week's project, which is the bus doors. And I think you're going to love what I did with them. I'm not completely done with them yet, but I'm about, 50% done with this particular process because I have to flip them over and do the other side. But it is looking amazing, and I have to hope for a couple more nice weather days to be able to do that, or I'm going to have to set it up like I did in here, where I can coat them and then put them inside and get them warm enough to be able to do the curing, because it has to be at least 65 degrees for it to do what it needs to do, and our temperatures are not sticking around that temperature right now. But I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video all the way through. It's been a true adventure to get to this place, and we're looking forward to more adventures to come, because we're going to start getting into the exciting places of the build. I'm hoping to get to electrical wiring soon, which is not exactly exciting, but I'm going to add in some wiring for the lights and then do more framing in the near future. So thank you for taking time to stop by this channel. Take a moment to like, subscribe, and share this video for those people that are out there that need to hear this story and could benefit from the lessons that I've learned. Thank you all for taking time to stop by. Don't forget to subscribe and share. Y'all come back now.
Some things are not the same as they were a year ago.